So welcome to the Alexandra Wenman Show and Awake Ones on the road in California. We're actually here at the moment in Joshua Tree, and we're meeting up with the lovely Lori Portillo, who runs the Thunderbird Lodge here in Joshua Tree. And just to welcome my co-hosts.
I'm Sallee Poinsette-Nash.
Lorraine Flaherty.
So guys, how are you finding Joshua Tree so far?
I think the energy in Joshua Tree is unlike anywhere else I've ever been. It's incredible. So much energy, so much history. I think it's a really special place.
Yeah, it is magical. Just being in the desert is something that's very dear to my heart, and whenever I come to the desert, I feel a real affinity to it. So to be based right here in the centre and right on the edge of the national park is just really amazing.
So Lori, how did you come to be in this place? How did you come to acquire the property here and set up the Thunderbird Lodge?
Well, my husband and I came here in 1982 because the steel mill we worked for in Los Angeles closed, and bought a little homestead cabin that didn't have electricity or water or anything else, and started fixing it up to live in, and then we bought these other houses over the years, over these past 36 years. We bought our cabin in 1982 and just started adding on to it and making it livable, and then other houses would go up for sale. So they were going to be long-term rentals, and then vacation rental came to mind as it was starting about 2010. So as people would leave, I would turn them into vacation rentals. And but I loved this area from the day I saw it. I could have bought a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house on the other side of the highway for the same price I bought my little homestead cabin on 5 acres of dirt for $24,900 is the price they were asking for both of them. And the real estate lady said, "But the other one has a bathroom, Lori." And I said, "But this one has this view. I'll get a bathroom anytime." So that was how I ended up right here.
It's amazing. And being on the very edge of the national park, I bet you see a lot of wildlife. I know Sallee this morning was actually chased by a coyote.
Free coffee.
Free coffee coyote chasing. It's wonderful. So in your time here, have you had any amazing run-ins with the wildlife here yourself?
Yes, I've had close calls with coyotes that decided to go after dogs. I was in a 4-foot deep hole working on a water pump one time, and a coyote was coming after my little dog, and I was throwing my tools because I couldn't get out of the hole fast enough to protect my dog to chase the coyote away. But I've also run into like mountain lions, and
whoa!
Yes, one time a mountain lion was walking across the driveway of the shell house, and when it was walking, at first I thought it was a coyote. I thought, that's the biggest coyote I've ever seen. And then it turned around and looked at me, and it looked like a house cat, but it was like twice the size of a coyote.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
What was your immediate reaction? Was it fight, flight, freeze?
I just stayed there and let it walk away. It's like they're usually more afraid of us than we're afraid of them.
Yeah.
They're like, ooh, there's a person here in my driveway.
Wow. So talk to us about Thunderbird Lodge, because I know we spoke via email before we came here, and we were both talking about like how wonderful it is to recycle and reuse, and the sustainability of your property here. So how did you like sort of set up each house? What's your vision for this place?
Well, I've always seen the use of things that are going into a dump drives me nuts. In fact, I have 4 chairs in the backyard that I was going out of the dump one day, and I saw these chairs going in, and I made a U-turn and drove up next to them and said, "Can I have those chairs?" And they said, "Sure, we're happy you can use them." But it makes, another hour later they would have been driving over it with a bulldozer. Beautiful wooden backs and legs in perfectly good shape, but they needed new seats. So it makes me nuts. So I've always had that tendency anyway, and so when the the houses needed decorating, it was an easy saying, because I see things and I think, oh, that would look nice at whatever. And I still see things at houses that I think that should be at the other house or that other house or whatever, because it just doesn't work here as well as it would at that one. So there's like always this puzzle piecing thing that I'm doing.
So each piece in each house is like selected by you, and it's all special to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Uh-huh. Sometimes they're things that have been in my family forever, and sometimes they're just things I've bought at a yard sale that were in somebody else's family forever, and they just decided to get rid of them. It just occurred to me that 2 dressers that I got from someone, and they were just beautiful, and she said, oh, they've just been in my family forever and I want something new. And I thought, oh, you're going to get press board. I'm going to get this beautiful oak furniture for $100 for 2 nice dressers, and you're going to go spend a bunch of money for a press board. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So it makes me crazy. We have a bunch of tires in the back. I have a rental that somebody was probably getting paid for disposing of tires and stacking them in the backyard of my house. So I saw this fence in a little video that someone sent me of tires that are where they cut the treads off the tires and screwed them to wooden posts and made this nice fence. And I thought, well, the roadhouse, so we'll put those tires on. We'll put that tire fence across the back of the roadhouse. So that's what we're doing now, making a tire fence.
Although I have to say, my mother, who is an avid gardener, she lives in Ireland, and there was a guy there who was taking tyres and he was cutting them in a particular way so that whatever he would do, he would slice the tread and get one bit of it to stand up, and then cut 2 back bits and get them to curl slightly upwards, and then painted them white, and they look like swans.
My granddad had 2 of those tire swans in his garden.
And then my mum has it as a pot planter. So inside the actual hole of the thing, she has this big white flower that blossoms each year. And I mean, it's her favourite thing in the garden.
Yeah.
Wow.
It always reminds me of my granddad, because we had, and like, look at us, we're from opposite sides of the world. Same thing in Australia, country, New South Wales, casino, big tire swan out the front of the house. Yeah, it's great. Reuse, sustainability, hey? You could make a thing of beauty from something that's just so bog standard every day.
And it's old, it's old to someone else, but it's new to you. And I guess if you move it from property to property, it's new to the property, and it can, keep having a new lifespan.
Yeah.
And I love it because many years ago, I used to collect kind of 50s memorabilia and all the vintage knickknacks and stuff. And over the years, I move a lot. I'm travelling a lot, so I can't really, I don't really have room to have lots of stuff because I have to keep moving it with me. So I had to get rid of a lot of it. So I felt very. It was. What's the word I'm looking for? Nostalgic. Thank you. That was the word. Yeah, I felt very nostalgic for all of the bits that I'd let go of because there's such a history and there's such a magic.
So when she walked in here, she was like, ooh, ooh.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Oh, I had one of those.
Yes, there's a history that young people don't even realize what happened, and even though we look at them like that nostalgically, they're like, can you believe they used to do this? They used to use these.
I know, records. Records. In fact, I remember somebody had posted a little video on YouTube, and it was a guy, he'd handed a cassette, like a little plastic cassette, to his kids who were maybe 10 and 11.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, where'd you plug the cable in? Where'd you put the headphones? They were looking at all these little holes in the side of it and trying to put their, iPhone cables into the side of it and kind of rattling it because they were convinced that the music was inside of it. And he was doubled up. He was cracking up laughing. But of course, they would have had no reference to that whatsoever, which is actually really quite tragic. And actually, it made me feel very old. Even Walkman CD players, I mean, even that is, those things that we just took for granted, they're totally defunct now, aren't they?
Yeah. VHS tapes.
Well, yeah.
And now you have Netflix. You just use your phone and you can watch whatever you want.
I know. Even CDs now.
Yeah.
So do you have a favourite property here, or a favourite house? Is there one for you which maybe your own is your favourite. But is there one of the sort of the guest houses that is your favourite?
I think the Rock House is my favorite.
The Rock House.
Because it was the men that owned the house just on that side of me had homesteaded here. Now my sister owns that house. She's going to retire here, and they said that Rock House was here when La Contenta was not. They homesteaded their property, and there was no La Contenta. It was just wild property. And
this was the one we drove up to last night? Is it the other one?
Yes, that was it. Wow. And so they had started building their cabin, and there weren't even really markers to tell you where to build. So they had started building their house on that side of the road, because the road wasn't here, and then somebody told them that wasn't their property. So they moved it farther over, and they thought they were well away from the property line, but it turned out it was right along La Contenta. So they moved it several years later back farther. But that Rock House was up there, and a geologist told me once that the rocks in the house are not from these hills here.
Wow.
So they brought them from someone else. So the painting on the wall in the living room is of an old truck that is out in the park, just an old relic of a truck. And I always picture some couple homesteading that house and dragging these rocks up from somewhere else, because they didn't know who owned these rocks. You know, of course, nobody would have ever noticed that they took rocks from here, but they didn't. And so they put that little cabin up, and then there were 2 bedrooms added on later, but I loved that. And after the big earthquake, so there's a rock house on this side that in the earthquake in 93, which was 7.4, the house on this side of the rock house was demolished. And the rock house only had very minor damage. So above the windows, like, there were these cracks going up from the corners, and in a drywalled house you'd have a beam over the top of the window, but the drywall would still crack there. So there was no beam over the top of the window, but there were these cracks going up, and I fished the crumbled cement out to fill it with cement with fiberglass fibers, and there was this huge cable that they had like woven between the rocks. So they not only brought rocks, they brought this huge heavy cable and wove it in, and so that's why that rock house stayed, I'm sure. Wow. And the one
so they earthquake proofed it themselves. Yes, how amazing!
In like the early 40s, early 30s.
Wowzers! That's genius.
Amazing.
And speaking of history, so obviously we're here in the desert. What do you know anything about the Native American history of this region? Because obviously all the street names are Apache Trail and Hopi Trail and all the different kinds of tribes.
You know, I do not know anything of the history of what tribe would be. We were talking about Willie Boy before the Americans, or not the Americans, the white people that came here and tried to take over were chasing him because he was trying to defend Indian property that was going on in this area. And
so he was a bit of a local hero, but also a what's the word?
A protector.
Upstart.
Yeah, probably seen as a bit of a highwayman or something, maybe, or a, what do you call it, fugitive?
Yes, that's what he would have been thought of by the white people that were, entrusted to take care of the law, which was kind of make sure the white people are safe and the Indians stay out of our way, or work to do what we want them to do. So there was a lot of that stuff going on up here, and there were natural springs. There was a natural spring over here that dried up after the earthquake. Probably things changed, but there would have been, they would have known where that was. They would have been here because there was water. There was access to water.
And the spring dried up after the earthquake.
Mm-hmm. It probably changed.
Probably dislodged underneath the land. Mm-hmm. Wowzers.
And there's like, in this area you can't get a well because of the rocks and the fault that where that earthquake was. So there's not access to get to it because you can't find a straight path. You're hitting, you might hit solid granite for hundreds of feet. So that was pretty amazing to have water be able to get to the surface. And
Amazing.
So I'm sure there was lots of Indian traffic here, and I guess you encountered some of the
Yeah, so last night we've done some other video footage, but last night we had a very interesting night here, and I'm sure that this doesn't happen for people that usually come and stay here. We just want to say this, we tend to attract energy like this. So wherever we go, we're sort of called to places that need clearing. So we had a very intense night, but it's not going to happen to everybody that comes and stays here at Thunderbird Lodge. And also, because we've cleared it now, it's wonderful energy here this morning. All of us were actually commenting on how beautiful the energy feels this morning. But yeah, we were hit with quite a few layers of spiritual disruption last night. And it was interesting because as soon as we got here and we arrived and we had a flat tire and the fuses blew, so we were half in the dark. And I thought, this is a bit strange. So we tuned in, and even before Lori arrived, she came to bring us some pizza, bless her, because we had our flat tire. And Prosecco.
She rescued us.
She rescued us last night, and just before she arrived, I was having a vision of an old woman sitting in the chair in the corner, and I got a name starting with S. And then when Lori arrived, so we helped to move her on and to reunite her with her husband, who I believe was in spirit as well. And then when Lori arrived, I asked her about, who lived here before, and she did say there was a woman here before, Shirley, am I right? Shirley, and it really interesting. And then after Lori left, then there was just layer after layer, wasn't there? So what we were kind of tuning into was it was all connected with the Native Americans and the way that they and Lorraine was picking up on this, and so was Sallee. Like all night we were up by the fire.
Yeah, we'd clear one thing and we're like, and then sort of within the hour something else would crop up. But I think it's important to mention that Shirley was a lovely energy.
She was lovely.
She was a lovely energy.
Yeah, there was nothing scary about it.
No.
What we find with this kind of work, with any mediumship or any of this kind of work, is that it's not that scary. If you go in, you don't have to go into fear around it. These are trapped energies that need our help.
She didn't know that she could move on.
She didn't know she could move on, and she was waiting basically, and she wanted the company. So it was it's quite beautiful work when you think of it, to be able to reunite souls and move them to the light and move them on.
Reunite them with their loved ones, because I think she was waiting in that place because she knew that they would know that she was there, because it was the last place that she had been when she was alive. And oftentimes souls, if they don't go straight to the light, will go to a place where they felt at home, where they felt safe, where they felt comfortable. And so they will often attach to a place, or to, sometimes it might be an item of some sort. It might be a piece of, it could be a piece of jewellery even, it could be a piece of furniture, it could be anything, or it could be a person. But I think in this case, there was an attachment to one of the chairs that was in the house, which is a really beautiful blue chair. And her energy just felt, it was so lovely when Al let her know that it was possible for her to be reunited and to go.
Yeah, we all got a bit emotional because it was almost like she didn't realise, and then when she did realise, she was so happy to go.
It was such a sense of loneliness, we suspect that she might have had something to do with our flat tire, because she wanted the company. It was like, oh, there's people here, amazing, come and party. And then it was interesting because I know you said that she had ended up going to a home or a hospice in the end. So she'd come home. She'd seen this place as her home, and she'd come home, and to her we were visitors. So I mean, it's like Hotel California, you can't leave. But she'd seen us as her visitors, and it was a really lovely energy, and the emotion and the excitement and the joy when we told her, you don't have to, you can be reunited, was amazing.
But she was also really happy that we were going to be helping to clear the energy so that more guests and that more people could come.
More people would come.
Yeah, she was very happy about that idea, about the house being used and loved, and
opened up,
bringing life back to it.
And then we got obviously the layers of the Native American story, and then we had the lovely guy Dominic come and fix our tire, and he told us all about the Willie Boys, and the kind of, it's a bit of a spooky story about that one, but we did check this morning, and apparently we have cleared that curse. So he told us about a curse where each owner of this Willie Boy's bar or restaurant or whatever it was had ended up committing suicide, that there was a whole load of these owners that had committed suicide, and it had remained closed for a time. And apparently another one had happened recently. But we had done such a deep clearing of the energies, and I did pick up, there was a curse, but I couldn't pick up what that curse was. But we did ask to clear any curses in the surrounding area. And we both checked this morning with our pendulum and got that we had cleared that curse. So, you know.
It's even more amazing.
Yeah. Even when you, just through your intention to elevate energy and to bring light to a place, you can do so much more than you even know that you're doing. So yeah, hopefully we've blessed your property and brought in lots more light, because it's such a magical spot here. And, you know, we're looking out literally over the national park and the desert and the Joshua trees, and we saw the sunrise this morning and the moon hanging in the sky, and it was like, a new day. Really amazing, incredible. And I know as we drove in here yesterday, I mean, Lorraine and I were channeling loads of information, but we just felt our hearts open. It was like, as soon as we turned off onto that road, the energy shifts completely. We stopped in Palm Springs, and then we came here, and it was like, wow, we're coming into a really sacred area, a really magical area. And you might hear our teeth chattering. It's quite cold here in there. So, Lori, what would you like to share? Would you like to share any other stories about this place with the viewers or people who might be coming to visit this area, of what there might be to see around here? Or
well, we have the Covington Flats entrance is right off of Contenta. You saw that from the Rock House, which is pretty amazing. The 7 miles up to Eureka Peak from there is change in altitude about 1,200 feet. We're at 4,100 here, and so the change in, like here, there's greasewood bushes mixed with yucca trees and Joshua trees, and as you get to the Rock House, there's juniper bushes mixed with yuccas and Joshuas. Wow. But as you climb up to Eureka Peak, there's pine trees and scrub oaks, because you're going up, and you can look down on the whole lower desert, and it's pretty amazing. It's an amazing drive, and I had people staying at one of the houses for Thanksgiving last year, and they said they waited in line at the main entrance for 40 minutes in a car before they could get into the park. Wow. And they came up here and only saw 2 vehicles. The next day.
So this is the secret entrance.
Entrance to the park. There's no gate. It's just not very well known, and the views are stunning too. And to be able to go from this dirt road 7 miles farther into the park and be in that secluded that you could see someone coming from 7 miles away, right. is pretty amazing. And the skies are, you know, the light pollution that you'll get closer to town is pretty much dissipated here, but there it's like you are completely surrounded by black everywhere. So it's an incredible thing to go look at stars from there.
Yeah, we saw the stars last night, didn't we?
Well, coming from London, we don't see stars very often.
Yes.
We see orange. A lot of orange. Yeah. So the stars were incredible.
Orange because the glow.
Because of the clouds and the pollution, and then all of the street lighting, it bounces back, and actually it has kind of an orange thing going on.
Sounds lovely.
You have a better ceiling than we do.
It's definitely better.
Sounds like our president. Orange and cherry.
So having lived here for such a long time, do you still go up to the park and you go stargazing and
love it.
Never get bored?
Yeah, I have there's a couple from Vancouver that have property out here by that big property. They want to go up there, and I want to go see that little valley again. Yes, and I'm amazed. I still see sunsets and sunrises that I go, whoa! After this many years, and I have people come and they'll be talking about this beautiful sunset, and I'll be thinking, You haven't seen it.
Until you've been here.
That's why it's so secluded, even though it's close to town, because we never had water, city water, or paved roads, which neighbors would say, we got to go to the town and tell them we want city water and paved roads, and I'd say, no, thank you.
I grew up without city water as well. I grew up on tank water, and we had to, if we had a drought, we had to order the water in, and the truck would come. And I remember one time we had frogs in our tank, and it was like we had to actually. It was like you turn on the tap, you weren't sure if a frog was going to come out. We had to put in a water filter after that. His mum was like, "Don't be drinking the water, kids." Yeah. So we had a special filtration system put in. But yeah, that was good fun in the country. Amazing. Frogs in the water, little friends popping up to say hello.
So I think if anyone wants to find this place, we'll put all the information in the links below the video, with the links to the website and for booking. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, it is Thunderbird Lodge Retreat. That retreat is on the end at .com. But yeah, when you were talking about Shirley, I remembered the ranch house. When we were fixing up the ranch house, we took a picture of the outside as we were leaving one day, and there was a man in the window. A man, and there was nobody there. We knew there was nobody there because we had just left, and it was sort of transparent.
Do you still have the picture?
I don't.
You don't?
But I do know the guy that took it. I'm going to have to check with him and see if he can say. Because at that time it was not, we didn't have like all this internet, all this connectivity.
Yeah.
Because there was an old couple that had homesteaded that property, and then a neighbor bought it from them, and then I had bought it, so that we were the only three owners. I thought that must have been him.
Yeah.
The spirit of
How amazing that he was showing himself as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he kind of looked peaceful, and he was looking up the road, and I thought, he's like happy that this is happening. It's turning into a show place instead of he had built it as a ranch. He had built the barn himself because they had horses, and so the barn is still part of it, and we added other stuff. So I think he was very happy to see his ranch developing.
That's wonderful. And is there anything else you'd like to add to the place? Are there any other plans for the future of this place that you'd like to
always plans to last me 100 years. We're out here. There's going to be a little gas station and diner. It's the Roadhouse. So I'm doing a little diner. I have wood framed windows that'll go around the outside of the diner, and I have an old gas pump that's going to be sitting outside the little gas station.
Awesome. Amazing. Fantastic.
It's like you've built a whole little world up here, isn't it? Like a whole little mini community. Yeah. Wonderful.
So, and at the Parkview house, I have a 12-foot lizard that I'm covering with copper. I built this lizard out of chicken wire and fence posts, and now I'm attaching copper and brass to make it into a real lizard. And so there's always something.
It's a bit more fun than working at the steel mill. That's probably a good thing in the end, right?
It is. It's wonderful. I love doing it. It's like I have these shadow boxes that are actual buildings that I used to like doing shadow boxes, taking little bits of old things and putting them in. And it's a glass in front of it, and now it's like I have whole houses that I can do it to.
Amazing. That's wonderful. Lori, thank you so much for speaking with us today, for sharing your wisdom and your creativity with us, and thank you
for sharing your home.
Thank you for sharing your
place
home with
us
and putting us up for the night. And
I'm happy to have you. I'm happy to meet all of you. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you so much. So if people are interested in coming to stay here in Joshua Tree, it's thunderbirdlodgeretreat.com. So thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.